Hey friends, so welcome to Thursday night DBC Live. I will be your host again tonight, and I'm super excited about it. So please do drop over in the comments, tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, any of that, and all of that would be awesome. First of all, I'm excited to join you again tonight. I will be hosting and sharing a little bit about some real talk treasures. So I don't know if you've ever heard of these before, but it is something I absolutely love talking about. And I feel like right now we're in this time period or this season where there's conferencing, there's a lot of things happening that involves conversation. Well, if you're a human and you deal with other humans, then you're always going to be dealing with conversation. But there's also times where, as educators, we are talking to parents or we are talking to community members, board members, whatever that is. And so it's nice to have some conversation pieces in our pocket. And you may just be building better relationships with your colleagues or with your friends, or it's coming the holidays. This could maybe help you to engage in some productive conversation with your family. So hopefully you will find something in this session that will be meaningful for you and help you when it comes to communicating with anyone, honestly. And yeah, that's kind of what we'll be working with today. So I'm excited to chat with you to help us to grow in the area of communicating more clearly and also moving conversations forward instead of just like complaining or, talking about things that maybe don't move a conversation forward, feel like spiraling. And, there's a time and place for that. But, anyways, every single comment over in the comment section will enter you to win a free book. So please do drop your name, tell us who you are, what you do, tell us you're here. It will enter you to win a free book from our whole entire line, DBC Inc. and Impress. And the link for those books is above or below this video, depending on where you're watching. So you have a lot of choices to choose from if you are the lucky winner. We do try to ship those out within 7 business days. So hopefully you will be the lucky winner. We don't choose the winner until the following day. So if you happen to watch this on the playback, no worries. You can still be a winner. So if you want to, we are just going to dive in and get started. As you guys are joining in, I will flash your names over on the screen and let everyone know you're here. So please do tell us who you are, what you do, and a little bit about you, maybe something fun that's happened this week or something you're looking forward to. For me personally, it has been so nice to be back home. I have been traveling for a couple weeks and I really miss my routine. I miss my coffee. Tish and Dave can tell you a little bit about how much that means to me each morning. When I didn't have it one time this weekend, had a little meltdown, needed a little caffeine, but that's just what happens, right? I mean, everybody needs their caffeine or something that helps them to feel prepared for the day. So I'm glad to be back in my routine, snuggling my puppy, exercising regularly, eating better, trying to wean myself off of the Starbucks latte that I'm obsessed with right now. So if you are into holiday drinks and you like Starbucks and you don't mind extra sugar and carbs, here's an obsession that you might love. It is what I like to call Christmas in a cup. So I learned it from one of the bloggers that I follow. She calls it the Lolo Latte because her handle is Lolo in her last name, but Lolo Webb, I think. But anyways, what it is, it's a grande, what I order anyway. It's a grande oat milk latte. At that point, it's not too bad. And here's where it gets bad. With 1 pump of sugar cookie and 1 pump of peppermints and sprinkle cinnamon on the top. Let me just tell you, don't start it if you don't want to be addicted, but if you don't mind being addicted, it is so yummy, so good. And the oat milk helps a little, I don't know, but yeah, the syrups is where it gets. Yeah. So what we came on here to talk about is conversation. And I know that a lot of us are having conversations with a lot of different people. It's conferencing time. It's also a time where families are getting together for the holidays, whether it be Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I thought I would share a couple of things. One of my favorite pieces of this chat is the Real Talk Treasures. And I just talk a little bit about the Real Talk Treasures and just what they mean to me and why I think they're so very important to us and to help us to like engage in a more productive conversation. Yeah, we can talk friendly talk mostly to anyone. I mean, we're educators, right? That's just what we do. But can we move a conversation forward? Can we help people to feel like they are very much a part of this conversation? And that's kind of where I want to go with it. Let me open a window here. Hang on. I'm going to download this as a PDF. I want to show you. I have these on my website. So I'm going to drop my link over in the comment section right now, just so you have them. And then I'm going to pull these up as PDFs just to make it real easy for you to be able to see them. So what we'll do is the first Real Talk Treasure that I'll be talking to you a little bit about is called valuing individuality. So what that means, it's super simple. To value individuality is just to do just that. You know, everybody is a little bit different. So when we enter a conversation, are we recognizing that they're probably seeing it from a different perspective? And that's totally okay. And I think a lot of times, yes, that's the case. But I think sometimes I would speak for myself. I'm already thinking of what I want to say. I'm already thinking of how I would address the situation. And that's what we want to try not to do as much. And I think it's really hard to do just that. So let me pull this up real fast. It's taking me just a second here. I don't know. When I don't have anyone in here, when Dave's not in here with me, I always feel just a little discombobulated. I'm like, oh, dang, I have to run this thing by myself. He is busy. Finn has a birthday tonight. So if you want to wish him a happy birthday, I'm sure he was so grateful. So Dave will be celebrating his birthday with him. And I'm super grateful that he is getting to do that. And he's home and he's not traveling too. So now I'm ready to share. So the first one we talked about is valuing individuality. Easy enough, right? For the most part. So that's just showing respect, listening to their perspective. A lot of times if we're talking about conferencing, especially parent-teacher conferencing, a lot of times they come with an idea and we know it's not actually accurate, but if we could try our best to see it from their perspective before formulating a response that is going to defend our way or express that they're incorrect. There is just something so important about having your feelings validated, whether or not they're true to that person at the time. And it's so important that we validate them, that we make them feel valued. And that's kind of what I like to link into valuing individuality. One of the things I recommend is when you're conferencing, I feel like a lot of times we sit across from the desk. One of the things I loved doing as a teacher was sitting beside the parent on the horseshoe table. I had the horseshoe table because I taught elementary, but I didn't sit across from them. I sat beside them. And I really think that makes a difference. It just body language in and of itself. It's not me against you. It's like us. We're a team. The second Real Talk Treasure that I really want to talk about is humble inquiry. Humble inquiry is so important. And honestly, we are streaming on Facebook right now. We're also streaming on YouTube. But one of the things I love about Facebook is it says, what's on your mind? Right? Does it still say that? Or does it say create a post? I think it says create a post now. But it used to say what's on your mind. Oh, that's pretty open, right? That's a super open question. I don't know that we need to ask quite that open question, but we need to be humble in the question that we pose at the onset. What are you thinking? What's on your mind? But rather than asking a very pointed question, just how are you feeling about the school year? Keeping it open. And really, there's no one right answer that you're hoping to hear from that parent or you're hoping to hear from that individual. You are just opening up a question to allow them to express their thoughts and feelings. And that is when we really have to kind of go back to number one, where we're valuing their individuality. And in that way, we are also validating their feelings or whatever they use to answer that humble inquiry. When we're getting to know someone, if we are having a conversation over dinner, I mean, wouldn't it be nice if someone just says, "Tell me a little bit about yourself"? I mean, it's just like super open. And some people don't like that because they don't really want to tell you much about them. But if it's a humble inquiry, by the way, this idea came from a book by Edgar Schwinn. I'm going to be super honest. The book is not very engaging, but the idea of it is beyond amazing. It's a very thin book. It's a great book. I feel like it's a thin book. I can't remember. I have to go pull it off my bookshelf, but I love it because it just reminds us that we need to be very genuine when we ask questions. Like, why are we asking such pointed questions to people that they don't, if they feel uncomfortable to answer? Keep it humble, keep it exciting, keep it open-ended so people can actually respond. Humble inquiry. Next one, real talk treasure, moving on over in the map, is listening to learn. We talked about this just a minute ago, but really just listening to the speaker, paying attention to them, making eye contact. There's nothing more annoying to me. Like right now, I do a lot of meetings on Zoom call or Google Hangouts, and I even meet with some of my friends this way. There is nothing more annoying than if they're typing their little hearts out while I'm like sharing my thoughts and feelings about a topic. Or they asked me a question and I'm sharing with them and they're just like not paying attention to me at all. Like, why am I even talking at this moment? And I think a lot of times when we're in conferencing or any kind of conversation with community members, parents, individuals, even at dinner, even at these holiday dinners, we just are listening to respond. We already know where we want this conference to go. We already know what we need to share with the parent. And we are just giving them a moment to talk, but we're really not paying attention to them. I highly recommend not doing that and avoiding interruptions and just really listening to learn. Like, what is it that they are thinking? And what is it that they're feeling? And why are they possibly feeling or thinking that way? And sometimes it helps for me to paraphrase, not all the time, because I know that can get really annoying. But I know you've heard this before. Like, it sounds like you're thinking this, or it seems like you feel this. Am I wrong? Am I right? I think sometimes if you can ask for a little bit of clarification, it's great before you go on to respond, right? When you have the chance to talk again, you aren't responding to something that you misunderstood in the first place. So sometimes clarification and paraphrasing helps. There's a lot of times, though, I feel like sometimes people do that way too much and it's almost a little bit annoying. Like, I almost feel like they're not listening either. They're just like paraphrasing every single thing. And you're like, okay, are you even listening? Like, why are you repeating the same thing I already said? So listening to learn. I think the next step of the real talk treasure is really just thinking about empowering the whoever it is that you're communicating with. And this can work in those family conversations too. Once you've learned a little bit about what they're feeling, what they're thinking, then you move to empowering them. Like, how do I help them to feel like we are a team? If we're talking about parents, if we're talking about community members, and they're helping us with our learners to move our learners forward, how do I help them to feel like what you're doing is so important? And then actually what we're doing in the school system is important too. And when we work together, man, we are going to move mountains. And this is kind of how I'm envisioning this looking. Like, what do you think about this? This is kind of that place where you have that collaboration. It's not like you against me. It's not me against you. It's like, hey, this is our goal. And this is kind of the thing. Like, you can even kind of use your hand as a gesture. Like, this is the goal. And then how do we work together to meet this goal? And if you're talking with a family member over a conversation and they're just expressing like their thoughts of building this relationship, right now I have some younger nieces that are like getting involved in relationships, like what? No. And just talking to them, listening to them, learning more about what they're feeling and how this is going. And then you're like, okay, so you want to find a man, right? So that's their goal. And here's what I hear you saying, like this and that is about this guy. And but he has this great qualities too. So how do we find out if you guys are actually going to like mesh enough to move this relationship forward? Like you start to collaborate, you start to hear their thoughts, they hear your thoughts, and you kind of brainstorm back and forth like these what ifs. What if this and what if that? Do you think that would work? Do you think that would move this forward? You start to make some action steps. You're like, okay, well, let's just see, like, how is this going to move? How is this going to work? And then like the next piece, this works really great in the school system. It actually can work with friends too, is providing that accountability. So now we've just talked about this. You're feeling good about it. You have an action plan to move forward. Say you're talking with a teacher or you're talking with a parent and you guys have an action plan to help that student move forward. Now it's like providing some accountability with us, like each of us. Like, this is my part and I'm gonna have this done by this date. And then your part is going to be, to do this. And let's just check in with each other. Let's build a system. Like, are we going to text? Are we going to email back and forth? Do we have a forum like that we talk through Seesaw or something like that for parent conversations? Back and forth. If it's your friend, it's your family member, text them like, hey, so you want to work out, you're wanting to lose weight. I'm your girl. Like, we're going to help each other. Let's hold each other accountable and I'll check on you. Like, I'm going to provide some accountability. And then I like the last piece of the Real Talk Treasures. We're almost done. But it's the open exaltation. This doesn't work for everyone, but it does work for the people that like this kind of thing. But really, in the school system, especially when, a student is doing like the parent and I just work together and we've been putting this plan in place for the last semester and the kid is like thriving, like being able to shout out that kid in the newsletter or being able to shout out, how amazing the growth that's happened for that student and, you know, assembly or something, the parent then also feels that success and that celebration because they see their kid thriving. They know they had a part in it and it just feels good. And if you're talking about a family conversation or like the one I was talking about earlier with my niece or my nephew or my cousins or family members, sister-in-law, brother-in-laws, celebrating their success out loud, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this, shouting them out if they're an Instagram user or something like that, shouting them out in your stories, something like that, if that works for them. Now, I will say, like, as an administrator, I love to follow these Real Talk Treasures too with the staff that I had the opportunity to lead. And some of my staff was just not really into the open exaltation, but they loved being praised privately between them and me. So if you have some extreme introverted staff, this may not work for them. Like if you had me as your staff, I would love it. So you just got to know your people, but being able to share with them like, wow, you did this. Like, and I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited for you. These are just some ways that you could potentially move a conversation forward. I love to call them the Real Talk Treasures. And love it. Melissa, thanks for joining. My dog is going crazy. My husband's outside. So it's just like, we're having a fun time with these Real Talk Treasures and Honey whining in the background. But hopefully you can go back and listen to it on the playback. Hopefully you will find this useful. And on my website, you will find a couple of things. You'll find the link to all the Real Talk Treasures and why I think they are very important for leading a productive conversation. You will also find this map that you're seeing, the map, basically, a principle, a PDF that you can take and use it to drive your conversations. And on the back side of this mat, I basically have this printed on a double side, and I actually have it as a mat. And I used to have it laminated on my desk because I just wanted to remind myself to kind of Sorry about that. My earplug fell out. Anyways, you will find the mats, the PDFs, printable PDFs on my website. I did put it over here on the link above or below this video where you'll see it actually in the comment section, but I'll also drop it in the link above or below this video when we're done, where it's tarammartin.com is my website. And if you do /real-talk-treasures / you will see the explanation for each one of the treasures. And if you were to print this front and back on a mat, which is what I used to do, and laminate it and put it on my desk, I think my mic fell off during that time. The back side of this mat also breaks each one of them down, valuing individuality, humble inquiry, listen to learn, empower, provide accountability, and open exaltation, and has little bullet points to help you navigate the conversation in that way. Yes. I agree, Melissa. Like, I had to learn that the hard way. I was super duper excited about sharing what one of our amazing teachers, first grade teacher, was doing. And she was so embarrassed in the staff meeting. So afterward, I noticed like her face was purple. And I should have known, but I also thought she was going to be really excited to have her name shouted out in the staff meeting, and she was not. So the next time, I knew that she loved Snickers bars. It was like her weakness, like my Starbucks coffee I was telling you guys about. And so I would praise her individually, like with some of her love language, right? Chocolate, and wrote a little note, and even would do something like tie a helium balloon around it and just tell her how proud I was of her. Just putting that on her desk meant the world to her. And she did not need that open exaltation in the middle of a staff meeting. It was a little much, but praising people that are doing great things in the way that works well for them is so important. And I think we leave off that celebration piece. So I think if I were to change that treasure right there, I would just call it celebration, because it doesn't necessarily have to be open to the whole world. It just needs to be openly done to that individual. So yeah, check it out. Hopefully if you try some of the Real Talk treasures, I'd love to hear how you use them. And thanks for all that joined in with us tonight. And if you're watching this on the playback, you are also eligible for that free book. Above and below this video, you will see the link to all of our line of books for DBC Inc. and Impress. Those books are all game for the free book. So we'll be choosing a winner tomorrow midday. You have up until that point to watch this live on the playback. And we would love to hear how you might use the Real Talk treasures in your learning setting. I thought I would show you that backside of that mat real fast. Let me do that really fast just so you can see. When I said that it's available to print on that link I just shared with you, this is the back side of the mat, where if you are doing this for the first time or you're trying to use some of these treasures, you can see just really quick bullet points of like ideas for making this particular treasure successful when communicating or having these productive conversations. Remember, this works well for conferencing. It works well for talking to students, talking to parents, talking to community members, and holidays are coming up. It works well for taking that conversation from bickering or gossiping. Maybe that's fun to you, but moving it to a more productive conversation where you can just learn something about them, something they're wanting to try, and help them stretch them to the next level by questions and in ways that you engage the conversation. So think about it, try it, let me know if you do, and I will see you again next week. Same place, same time. We have a new guest. It'll be Rushton joining us next week, and we are excited. So remember, drop your comments over in the comment section if you're watching this on the playback. And oh, awesome. I'm so excited, Melissa. I can't wait to hear how you use it. And you could be entered to win a free book. So thank you so much for joining DBC Inc. Live. We always love joining you. And next week, you will not have to hear me just ramble on about some cool topic that I'm interested in. You will get to hear somebody else next week. So thank you again. Have a great night. See you next week.